Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope you guys are having a good Thursday afternoon, or at least as good as possible, with the news of Tyron Smith, who is now scheduled to have surgery on his hamstring that literally was ripped off of the bone tomorrow, and they will have a better stand on how long he will be out. And of course, Jerry Jones, Mr. Puppet Master, Mr. Head of the circus, was talking about, well, this will actually be a good thing because, we'll get some experience for the young guys, and Tyron Smith will be back for the playoffs. And I'm like, playoffs? You're talking about playoffs? So I'm fortunate to have my man DMV in the house. DMV, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right, and I'm kind of double streaming. So if people in my comments can let me know if they can actually hear us, that would be great.
Okay.
Um, yeah, man, it's been a terrible day for us, man. Right? A little bit.
Um, well, it started from last night and then going through. I went to sleep, hearing that they checked his ACL, which was kind of. I was like, they checked his ACL. I was like, wait a minute. At first I thought it was actually his ankle because his ankle
Mm.
had already been hurt. From earlier in training camp. I thought that he aggravated the ankle, and then it was kind of like, wait a minute, they checked his ACL, and then they're going to do an MRI, and then, of course, I woke up this morning and found out it was a torn hamstring. But when I heard that it was a torn hamstring off the bone, how tough are you when you walked off the field and you walked out the locker room to your car and went home?
He probably was one of those dudes that they walk off all tough. I'm good. I'm good. And he probably got out to that car and was like, ah! Probably let out a big cry, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. William Yates, what's up? He says we need to sign Eric Fisher. There's all kinds of, everybody's got different solutions and stuff. We got the Cowboys can do some things in house. They could say, Zach Martin, you're going to be a tackle, or we could go ahead and roll the dice with Josh Ball being the tackle, or we could try Tyler Smith there at tackle. We could switch and take Terrence Steele and put him back over on the left. He has had some experience last year when Tyron Smith went out, and maybe I don't know. There's so many different combinations. There are some players out there that I've looked at, from Eric Fisher to Jason Peters to Nate Solder. Some people have talked about, maybe we could trade for Laremy Tunsil or win. I have no idea what they're going to do. This is ridiculous right now that should have been something they should have been thinking about. What are your thoughts and feelings right now? Because I know earlier you pulled, I'm sick of this shit. When I first talked to you this morning, your morning video, you laid into the Dallas Cowboys organization and called them basically a bunch of clowns and jackasses, to sum
I
it up.
still think they're a bunch of clowns and jackasses. Don't get me wrong, but there's the possibility that this could all work out, and they could just luck up, and they would just have a horseshoe up their butts if it all worked. I'm still kind of pissed off at how the planning is, because I still don't think, even if things work out, that the planning for this was the best. If anything, it would just mean that the football gods would have aligned everything for things to work the way that they did. Just like last year when D Law went down, just like when Randy Gregory went down and Micah had to rush the passer. Like, think about this,
Yep.
right? Do you think if that didn't happen, that we would have been able to use Micah the way we should?
Of course not. I mean, that was okay. Let's say Micah finding out he
Yeah.
could pass rush was a blessing in disguise. We may have never known how good he is as a pass rusher. He would have been playing just straight linebacker. I mean, ultimately, when you get a guy who's gifted the way he is and the way he literally left Tyron Smith in the dust, in thinking about that, was that leg somewhat already beginning to go before this?
There's the possibility that it was ready to go. Um, there's a possibility it was ready to go. But Actually, that's kind of what I was thinking when I a couple of minutes ago. I was like, there he might have been. I just can't see that it goes up under you like. Hold on, I want to end the broadcast on my side because it wasn't working, and I'll figure it out a little bit later. But I think that there's probably some underlying issues as to why it went. So, do you watch basketball at all? Do you watch?
A little bit. Yeah.
You familiar with Kevin Durant when he was with Golden State
Yeah.
and his Achilles went out?
Mm-hmm.
And remember, they kind of reported that he had a leg injury, and then all of a sudden, like he tore his Achilles, and we found out that the Achilles was kind of tender.
Right.
Maybe there was something, and it just it all went out, and the hamstring was overcompensating for another injury.
Well,
that
we've known that he's had the ankle injury. The left ankle was, he sprained it the first around the first preseason game, and I remember seeing him working out on the bands quite a bit while we were in training camp as well. So there's been some issues, and this is where when we were talking earlier, I was saying that I think Dak's strained calf was partially related to him compensating from the ankle injury. I mean, this is all. I'm not a doctor. I'm playing one here on YouTube. This is all speculation on what went wrong, but the reality is last year Tyron Smith missed 5 games. The year before he missed 14, and the years before that he missed 3. So it's criminal that the Cowboys did not have a backup plan for this. And to make matters kind of worse, I've been talking about La'el Collins had been on the PUP list for most of training camp. They're doing joint practices with the Rams today. And today, La'el Collins got into it and is throwing helmets and starting fights in practice. So a lot of people, of course, are going to go through and say, well, they should have kept, La'el Collins. Going into the offseason, I said that one or the other had to go because the Cowboys couldn't afford to keep both of them. La'el Collins or Tyron Smith. And the Cowboys stuck with Tyron Smith. And, of course, now we're without both of them.
Mm.
Big Wade. What's up, Big Wade? Sign Eric Fisher. Sign Peters as swing tackle. Peters, now here's the thing about Peters. Peters, would he want to play as a Cowboy after being a longtime Eagle fan? Reading what I did about what he basically said is he'd like to go to a team that's a contender, and doesn't matter what his role is, if he's a mentor for the young guys and so on, but he wants to have one last run. He was only $1.7 million last year. Eric Fisher was, I believe, on an $8 million contract last year. His problem going into the Colts last year was he was coming off the Achilles tendon, and they brought him on slowly. The first part of the season, he had about 7 great games. Then he had a shoulder injury and a knee injury that slowed him down, and that's why they ended up not re-signing him. Between the two of them, you could probably get them both for about $8-9 million and no draft picks. The question would be is, what kind of shape are they in right now? Are they ready to be playing a game in 2 weeks?
Well, I think what you can do, if anything, is try and kick the tires on those guys.
Oh,
have
definitely.
Them both come in.
You have to kick the tires. Yeah.
But I just mean bring both of them in and use that as leverage against the other one. This is one standard practice that they've done that kind of worked out last year at the safety position. They brought in Malik Hooker and Curse. And who else did they bring in? They brought in another safety, I thought.
Didn't we have
DeMarcus?
Yeah. Kazee. Okay, that's it. Yeah.
Kazee, yeah. And we ended up signing all of them, but at the same time, we ended up signing KZ longer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we signed him first, and then Malik Hooker, as he got healthier, then we were able to sign him later on. But we created that competition, seeing where the market was, and we probably went with the cheaper guy right then and there, to be honest with you.
Well, let me shout out to Lola, Mary. What's up? How are we doing, ladies? Miss Hot Sauce. I found out, man, they delayed me on it before I was doing the Girls All Right clips and stuff on there, and it came back to bite me, so I can't use that one anymore. Finally got copyrighted. So we got to come up with something else. I'm not ready to say, okay, I mean, right now we're emotional. We're emotional because, we're basically going to say we're sick of this shit that we've known. You can go through between me, between you, between E2 Blue, um, uh, everybody. Every YouTuber out there has been screaming the offensive line, right?
Yeah.
Tyron Smith. You
Mhm.
got, people have been saying we need to move on from him. And the Cowboys didn't have a plan B.
Absolutely.
So it's criminal that they didn't. But I will say this has a deja vu feeling to me of 2016. 2016 when Tony Romo got hurt before the season started. And we had little old Dak Prescott. People were, the season's over. We're done. We stink. The Cowboys, they don't have a plan. We need to go out and find a quarterback and everything else, right? You remember all that, right?
I had to talk people off the ledge because I remember Dak having a really good remember him having a really good preseason. I'm like,
Yeah.
all we got to do is go 3-3, and when Tony comes back, we're all right. I
Yeah.
remember that, and then we ended up being 5-1, I think, at the time, or something like that.
Joanne Gonzalez. What's up, JoJo? So, we don't know.
5-1.
Somebody can step into the breach and all of a sudden become a player. I am kind of at the point of, this is what pisses me off, man. Sitting here.
Let it out.
No.
It's therapy. I'm on the couch.
I,
Matter of fact, I'm going to lay down. Go
I
ahead.
feel like
Go.
the Cowboys are the traveling road show, that they are truly the circus. As much as I love going to Oxnard, they go to Oxnard and have training camp and all the fans go there. Then the traveling road show goes to Denver and they bring in all the fans and everything there. Then the traveling road show goes back to Oxnard for a couple of days, and then they go to the Chargers and they go there for a few days, and then they come back to the Star, and then they have a couple of opening practices there. And on the day that you have now lost the cornerstone of your offensive line, what do they have going on at the Star?
Hee-haw! We got Stephen A. Smith.
We've got literally Stephen A. Smith flying in a helicopter with Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones, the snake oil salesman that he is, well, we'll have him back for playoffs. I mean, literally, it's just like it's more publicity for the Cowboys. It's more drama. Every talk show out there is Cowboys, Tyron Smith, and so on. And as you look at the Cowboys worth $8 billion plus, would they be worth any more money if they won the Super Bowl?
No.
Jerry Jones got his hands, every other day you hear about a new business that they're in. Hell, yesterday before Mike McCarthy's press conference, it was the Texas State Lottery with their Dallas Cowboys scratchers, and them talking about the $2 billion that they've raised for schools. And it's kind of like, you've got all of these things that are going on, and it's like football is about this much of it. And here we all are, we all are invested so much into the Dallas Cowboys in football that it doesn't seem like they even care. Yeah, Des Bryant what's up, Miss Hot Sauce Lola?
Yeah, who's listening to us right now? Nobody's listening to us, fans. They don't care about us, man.
But it doesn't matter because we will come week one. I know I'll be sitting right here. I'll have the big screen on. I'll have the Cuban sub here on the table. We'll be talking about the Cowboys. But the person that I actually feel the worst for right now is, and it's kind of fitting that tomorrow before the game against Seattle, the team that actually brought us Dak Prescott being the starter for the Cowboys. Remember, Cliff Avril was the one that took out Tony Romo. That he's getting the Ed Block Courage Award. You know that, right? The team voted him in for the Ed Block Courage Award for being courageous because of his injury and everything else. Well, guess what? You damn sight better be really courageous going into this season, because now, Hurts gets A.J. Brown and they try and bring in more weapons. They're looking for another running back, right? You've got my man down in Miami, of course. They bring in the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, and Cedric Wilson. You've got teams that are saying, we need to do more things to help our quarterback. Tell me what we have done to help our quarterback this year.
We haven't done anything. We haven't done anything to help our quarterback.
We have
Nothing.
actually done more damage to our quarterback. You know, we keep hearing best cramp of Dak Prescott's career. It's going to have to be. It's going to have to be. You've taken away
Yeah.
weapons. Your offensive line, you didn't plan for Tyron Smith, and how you could not plan for Tyron Smith not being there, I don't know.
You know what, Mark? I'm just gonna lay on the couch. This is therapy for me right now, man.
No,
I don't know
no,
why
no.
I don't know why the Cowboys don't love me. This is a toxic relationship.
That,
I just can't get over it. They don't love me. I don't know why. Can you tell me why?
Jerry Jones is
It's
going to
crazy.
feed you another shit sandwich. But see, here's the problem though. Here I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. Exactly what's going to happen. In the same way that we went into last year like we always do. Remember, DeMarcus Lawrence was on the pup list and things, right? You know, that he's a guy who was constantly kind of being injured and things, right? That we lucked out and Micah Parsons saved their ass because we lost D-Law, we lost, Randy Gregory for them some time, that somehow by hook or crook, he came through and ended up making a lot of the problems that they had go away. Dak
Yes.
Prescott
Yeah.
was the same thing with Tony Romo. Listen, I said that Dak Prescott would end up being, the best thing for the Cowboys. I thought it would take a couple of years before he developed. But that year was saved by Dak Prescott being above and beyond what they should have because they
Yeah.
didn't plan. They knew Tony Romo was fragile, that Tony Romo, was missing time all the time. They didn't really have a plan to replace Tony Romo. It just so happens that the guy that they really didn't want because they wanted Connor Cook when they couldn't get Paxton Lynch, and it was finally like, this guy's not bad. So it's like, well, it's musical chairs. There's
I'm
no
glad you bring
other
that up.
quarterbacks out there. Let's just take that guy, and they lucked out. It was never this is our guy that we're going to get. They got lucky, and Dak saved their ass right then. So what'll happen this year is the Cowboys, without Tyron Smith, not planning for it, they'll get lucky. They'll probably get to the playoffs or something like that, and it will mask the underlying problems that they don't know what the fuck they're doing as far as taking care of this team. They get 90% there. They find some great players, but you've got to be 100% there to win a Super Bowl. We don't plan on
Yeah.
Tyron Smith. It's not like you've never had a season without Tyron Smith. When we lost him in that year against Atlanta in 2017, you found out what it's like without Tyron Smith. Claiborne got paid big time because of one game that he sacked the hell out of Dak Prescott. And here we
I'll
are.
even take it back further. We got lucky with Tony too because they wasn't the guy that they drafted. Quincy
Yeah.
Carter got in some trouble where he got booted off the team.
Mhm.
They had Benny Testaverde, but Tony was developing,
Yeah.
and Sean Payton was working with him. And Sean Payton tried to leave and take Tony, and they were like, no. And then Drew Bledsoe stunk it up so much that they had to put Tony in, and he ended up
And again,
kind of.
it's always somebody saves their. You don't look around and say, "Oh my God, that was a brilliant move that the Cowboys made." They end up
But
getting
they take
luckier.
credit for it, like they take credit
Oh
for
yeah,
it, like
we found Tony
it's a brilliant
Romo.
move.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
thought about this the whole time. No, you didn't. You lucked up.
And the thing with
Because-
Micah Parsons was that he really their first choice, or weren't we looking at wanting to get one of the cornerbacks that went before us?
Yeah, they wanted one of the cornerbacks before, and then we traded. With the damn devil to get
Yeah.
back.
Right.
We traded with the Eagles, and then we
Yeah.
got Micah Parsons when we could have just. I mean, we ended up getting some good players out of that deal, but still, it wasn't like you guys calculated that. You guys moved back because you didn't know what the hell you were going to do.
Yeah. Right. Again, they got lucky on those situations. And so,
Absolutely, but there is light at the end of the tunnel because I'm glad that you brought up Tony Romo, and I was just thinking this before I got on air. What if Let's Go comes in and is good? What if Let's Go is good
okay, but here's the problem now.
and Tyler Smith is good?
Wait. We're replacing damaged goods right now with damaged goods. He's had the supplementation problem with his shoulder. He's probably going to have to wear a brace, and if it doesn't respond, he may still have to have surgery. And we're talking about a guy who is, I'm not trying to throw shade on it, but we're talking about Division 1AA football now having to come into the NFL against the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
I mean, are you ready to go ahead and take your $40 million quarterback and say, bro, we're putting a guy who was Division 1AA
Well,
who hasn't been able to work out in training camp, and he's going to be the guy?
well, see, this was my biggie for last week about not having the first team out there, because then you could kind of work out some of those kinks. And now with Tyron really being out, we could at least say, all right, we got maybe one or two possessions, even if we're just handing the ball off with Josh Ball in the ones, or whoever, to see, okay, maybe we need to go get a veteran.
Well, true, I get you on that one, but I will also say that the younger guys at least got a lot of work. That that
They
may
did, but
that
they didn't
that
get any
may
work with their. That's still your $40 million quarterback going out there
true.
for the first time with them in week one. That's
Well,
a
not
lot more
all of it.
dangerous.
Okay, well, it'll be. I mean, we know Zach Martin will be Zach Martin and Terrence Steele, and Biotis. So it's three of them. It's not necessarily all of them. Connor Williams has, Connor McGovern has had first team snaps there. So really, it's your tackles, the one that you're really looking at now, because
But
they've really had Tyler Smith kind of as a backup, and that's the other thing that doesn't make any sense to me. I guess that they've been trying to say you're going to earn your spot. We're not going to just give it to you and say you're anointed as the guy, and so now you got no choice. But I kind of thought for a while that one of the reasons that they were doing that, but it doesn't appear that they've actually done the work on it, was the reason that they were kind of having Connor McGovern play a lot of guard is that they were concerned about Tyron Smith playing, and they want to get as much work for him at guard if they have to go ahead and make Tyler Smith the tackle.
do you think they saw enough for Tyler Smith at tackle to say he's okay? He doesn't need reps.
He
He needs more
needs
reps at
reps.
guard.
Well, he does need reps, but you look
I
at
know
him
he
and
does.
say he's physical enough that she's not going to be overpowered. You know, that he's strong enough and bull enough to be that guy. And that was his position in college. That it shouldn't be that big. It's not like he's never played tackle before. And it's not
There
like,
is a difference though. We talked about it.
yeah, the speed.
The difference is now you got him going in that tackle with the bummed up ankle because Ball
Well,
rolled
but
up.
it's probably not. I mean, you've got still, 17 days.
I mean, we got 2 weeks. We
Yeah.
got 2 weeks.
You got 2 weeks for
But
that
that's
to be
still
okay.
2 weeks of reps that he's gonna miss. That he's gonna need.
But okay, but we don't. Okay, there's only basically one pad at practice. I mean, it's not like we're pads every day anymore. The NFL is not like we used to, where you're going to be hitting the sled and everything else. It's not that much hitting. Most of this shit is mental reps more than anything else, and freaking walkthroughs.
Do you feel like that's hurting us?
I think it hurts everybody. I think it hurts the product all the way around. I think the thing that I can say in looking at when I was watching the Eagles the other night is looking at the fundamentals get lost. The only way you can teach somebody truly to tackle is to actually tackle somebody.
Yeah, you got to push the
So,
ball.
when you think about your starters aren't playing any of the preseason games, you haven't tackled anybody. The starters haven't tackled anybody unless they play in preseason since last year.
Yeah.
And so that's where a lot of technique is lost. When I watch the Eagles, and I don't mean to turn this on the Eagles, but just kind of pointing out, watching the Eagles that played last week, they reminded me of the 2020 Dallas Cowboys defense, where you saw guys jogging and guys that were taking terrible point of attack routes. They were doing the banana routes instead of, doing the, but God, I'm having a brain fart. But you could see that they were literally chasing the quarterback, where he was and not where he was going to be. And that was technique, and that is only way you can teach that is by actually doing. So you basically, the first month of the season for a lot of guys is preseason.
Yeah.
If you think about, D-Law, he ain't tackled nobody since last season.
True.
He has not tackled anybody. Micah Parsons
True.
has not taken a guy to the ground since last season. The first chance will be game 1 against Tampa Bay.
True.
So that's the nature of the beast.
And we struggled that day defensively too. We struggled that day. Both of us did. They did too.
Yeah. We're going to need to rely on this defense to help us out. My solution,
Absolutely.
okay, I'm at the point where right now I put a video out and I said the future is now. At this point, I am ready. The thing that bothers me is if you take and switch up Zach Martin to tackle, or if you take Terrence Steele and move him over to left tackle, or that you start playing musical chairs. What happens is where you were okay in one position, now it's somebody else having to learn that position now too, right? So
Yeah.
if you take Terrence Steele and say, we're going to put you on the left side again, now who's going to be the guy that's going to be taking care of the right? And he hasn't had reps with the starters at the right tackle, because this is what screwed us up last year. You had a position that was fine at tackle, right tackle. You put him on the left where you have a problem now at left. Then when Lyle Collins came back in, we had a problem on the right now. Now we got two positions. So I'm almost at the point of saying, okay, Tyler Smith, the future's now, buddy. You're the starter. We go out, we try and get a Jason Peters or, an Eric Fisher to kind of help out. But I don't think that bringing that guy in today, he's going to be ready in 2 weeks to start, who has not learned your playbook whatsoever. And what kind of shape are they in? We took Anthony Barr and we ramped him up over 2 weeks, 3 weeks before we even put him out there to play.
And that's just the thing. Normally, like, if you think about this, right, if the Rams would have lost a swing tackle, if they would have lost their number one tackle today, they would have been on the horn with those guys.
And had somebody in there tonight.
Yeah, exactly. They would have made a trade or something, and they would have had him in there tonight. And that's what the Cowboys, they're going to try and go in week one, I promise you. Yeah. The Cowboys will definitely go in week one with damn Josh Ball to tackle. And then say, he can't play. We need to find the solution elsewhere.
That's Chaz Green all over again. But see, here's my thing. I think I actually have my panacea, my cure-all. You know what it is, don't you?
What's that?
12 personnel. Extra tight end over there to help out, right? Help chip, help slow down that edge rush, to be there and support and give us an extra man in the running game.
Yeah, until we can get the experience to kind of, start holding our own. That's probably what we'll have to do. I don't expect us, if that's the formula, to score a lot of points, though. So that's where I think the defense is going to have to help us.
But see, here's the thing, though. Hold on. You don't want to track meet. I watched, okay, let me say this, okay? I broke down the drive that I think it was the third drive of the game with Cooper Rush, okay? And we don't look at Cooper Rush as a great quarterback by any stretch of the imagination. But the way they used 12 personnel, they used one drive. They got the ball on the 31-yard line. They ate up about 7.5 minutes on the clock, and they were running, the first run play, they got like 4 yards. Second one, I think they picked up 8, okay? And they were playing games with the tight ends. They had them, one on each side. Then for a while they had them, both on the left side. Then sometimes they had them both on the right. Sometimes they had them both on one side and brought the receivers in tight. So they were actually showing different sets and different looks. And you could see how the defense actually was beginning to react to it. And it was literally setting up the defense where they were truly getting sucked in. I wish that Jalen Tolbert had gotten his foot down, but by design, it was actually great because we had both tight ends to the left. We ended up having Jake offset back off the line. No wide receivers on the left. We had both the wide receivers in close on the line. It ended up bringing everybody in the defense tight to the line. We ended up taking Jalen Tolbert and basically having him make a beeline right to the pylon on there. And you could see they faked the dive to Rico Dowdle. You could see the linebackers and the safeties all get sucked up to the line of scrimmage. Fake it, bootlegged, Cooper Rush outside, and here he is. The cornerback is trailing about 2 yards behind him. He hit him in stride. It's just Tolbert did not get the toe tap swag in there. And so when you start thinking about you're going to take a step back with the tackle, you're going to need that extra blocker in there to help out. And it can be, what you can do with it is you can use the tight end to help chip the tackle or the edge rusher on the way out. And if they're blitzing, you want to throw where the blitzers are coming from because that's going to be the void. To me, that's what you do.
The thing that scares me about this is if we can't get the run game going, which was it's still kind of a question mark with the ones, because again, like all this stuff is done against 2s and 3s, you know what I mean? Um, if we can't get the run game going, that limits us having to keep that tight end in as
Uh,
far as a guy that's
yeah.
going to be able to go out for a route.
Yeah,
So
Ryan Craigie. There is. I know who you're talking about. If I say his name, he will literally make a clip of it. He is an idiot troll that has literally been stalking me for well over a year, coming up with all kinds of different lies, and it's tragic actually because today was my nephew's memorial service. I couldn't go because I've just had my first COVID test. Yesterday was negative, and then today the second one, but still having the after effects of it. But comes up with some bullshit stuff about somebody who's not my nephew, who is a jailbird and stuff, and selling the name of him. The best thing to do is just to ignore those, or if you want to report it and stuff like that. He's had channels taken down over and over again, but it seems to embolden him when that happens. So, the best thing is if you watch it, it basically helps it to grow. So just ignore it. So, it is what it is. Anyway, I'm sorry to Ryan Craigie. Shout out to him for the super chat there. And I definitely want to explain that to him. There's a lot of hateful, ugly people out in the world, and it's sad and pathetic when you know how precious life is out there that, just people waste their time. Mark, we are in serious trouble, Hawk says. I'm not ready. I mean, we need some help, but you know what? Maybe the Cowboys wake up and they get bold and say, we're sick of this shit and we need to do something different than what we've been doing.
Well, I'll say this, Mark, and on a positive note, Tampa Bay is probably in
Worse shape.
more array than we are. Like they have a new head coach, quarterback just came back from vacation.
Yeah.
Shoot, they have a lineman out for the year too, don't they? Or something like that.
Oh my God. Okay, so they are a mass unit. So they lost their center to a knee injury that was horrific. He's gone for the year. Their right tackle, I believe, signed a contract with the Bengals in the offseason, big contract, so they lost him. Their Wirtz ends up having an oblique strains. Their left tackle, they think he's going to be ready to play, but that's usually about a 4-week injury, and he probably will be reduced. Their replacement guard, okay, they lost their guard. One of the two guys that were fighting it out for the starting guard role, he tore his knee up this past weekend. So you're looking at the middle, which is for Tom Brady. Tom Brady has no problem with pressure on the outside. He steps up. Tom Brady does not like pressure in his face. I dare say that they're in a lot worse shape than we are because Tom Brady will have that interior offensive line gone.
Not to mention no Gronk, no AB,
Right.
no Chris. What the heck is the other guy's name?
And
The slot guy. I can't think of his name.
Godwin. Godwin is recovering
Godwin.
from
No, Godwin.
from the ACL. He's on
No, yeah, it's Julio and Mike Evans, but we know he likes to work the middle.
right. And when they also get Kyle Rudolph instead of Gronk. So unless Gronk decides to unretire like next week, they are definitely hurting a bit. What's up, Thomas Garrett and Primetime Phil? What's up, Primetime? Yeah. So I mean, and we're not the only team that's had injuries. Okay, everybody
Bengals?
has injuries. Everybody does, and it's a matter of how have you planned for them, or what can you do as a reaction.
Yeah, and you
Thank
just
you,
got to handle things
Lewis.
week
I
to week.
appreciate that.
You just got to handle things week to week. That's how it is, man. You can build confidence. The thing about football is, man, once you build confidence, you got confidence, man. You can do some things and you can go to higher heights. So that we kind of did that last year. And in all honesty, we had a lot of question marks going into week 1 last year that weren't answered until about week 2, 3, 4, where defense kind of struggled at first and then they picked it up and became the best unit throughout the year.
Willie Thomas, I appreciate that, man. I have nothing against Eagle fans. Well, no, there's a couple of y'all that some of y'all are whack, but we got some Cowboy ones that are whack too, so that's cool. But I have nothing against Eagle fans personally. I just hate your team, but I appreciate the condolences. But here's the thing: when we went, let's think about this last year though. When we were looking at our defense and things, Did we actually think that our defense is going to be able to play the way that they did? We looked at this and said the
No,
Cowboys.
we just
Said
wanted our
the
defense to be
Cowboys.
top 20.
We were like, "Are you kidding me?" We got Jaron Curse. We got
Yeah.
Carlos Watkins and Brent Urban. We got Demontre Cazees and Hooker's coming off of a.
Golston played well too during that stretch.
We got guys that were injured between Neal, right? Keanu Neal.
Yeah.
He was coming off of an injury. We ended up getting Hooker coming off an injury. We looked at this and said, man, the Cowboys don't give a rat's ass about this team.
And we had Jalen Smith playing.
And we had
too.
Jalen Smith. And so we looked at that and said, man, our defense is good. We were just like, if we could just get a top 20 defense, if they could just, stop a team once or twice. And all of a sudden, guys that we didn't even know anything about became good players and became a cohesive unit. So it is possible. It is possible. And the thing that's kind of funny to me now is the revisionist history of guys like, say, Cedric Wilson. You would think that Cedric Wilson was Tyreek Hill by the way some of the people are talking right now, at least yesterday in my live stream. I'm not saying that Cedric Wilson was trash, but the year before he had about 200 yards in receptions. He ended up having 600 in there, and you have to wonder, was he a product of the offense and having CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and so on, and Dak throwing to him, or was he just a great receiver that we couldn't live without? You know what I mean?
He was a product of knowing the Boise offense of system.
There you go. I love Weed. Hey, Weed, I think you need to fire some up for all of us today, for Tyron Smith. Pass that Dutchie from the left, the right, the middle, up the back, in the side, and any which other way you can pass that mother humper.
Yeah, I mean, I like Cedric Wilson. I would have liked
I do like Cedric Wilson, but, they've made it out to be that Cedric Wilson is Devontae Adams, and that's the biggest loss that the Cowboys are going to have. But I think that you'll see somebody else, be it Semi or, Noah Brown or somebody else that'll be able to step in the role. Howard Floyd, what's up, Howard? Man, long time no see. Howard, it's funny because I was looking at your fish today out there in the pond and was thinking about you. That bad boy is about this big now. He's huge. So this is where, if this season ends up being saved and not ass, I don't want to hear nobody talking about Dak Prescott. I don't want to hear that he's just got the great weapons around him and that's why he's good.
I don't even want to hear.
I don't want to hear about that. It's Zeke Elliott, because we done said Zeke Elliott is trash. I don't want to hear that it's the best offensive line in football. There's nothing. You've got one piece of that best offensive line football left, and that is Zach Martin. Shout out to Terry Lee.
And I'm glad you said that, because here's another thing that is getting swept under the rug because things are so bad around them. Terrence Steele is still a question mark.
I don't know about. No, I still.
Biotis is still a question mark.
Biotis is a bigger question mark than Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele played great that first half of the season at right tackle.
And then they moved him to left tackle,
and that messed up. It
wasn't the same.
Which is why. Well, the whole offensive line wasn't the same though, because let's be clear here. You run a yard better when you got Tyron Smith on that left side than you do without him. And that offensive line was just discombobulated. Because even when Tyron Smith came back, he wasn't the same guy. You still had the problems, of course, with Connor Williams. Biotis would get lifted up and dropped in Dak Prescott's lap. And that's why I say I don't know that I want to play musical chairs with the guys that I'm playing. I think the best thing with Terrence Steele is keep him right there at the right. Don't mess with that.
I mean, in a way, I agree with it. If we, long as we have a decisive plan in place, I'm okay. Long as this is decisive.
David
plan,
Wiley, shout out.
At the end of the day, football has to be played.
Yeah.
And we can sit here and we can talk till we're blue in the face, but the game's got to be played.
Well, one of the things I have been saying too, because everybody's been talking about, well, Zeke, this is his last year. Zeke is done. We need to save money on Zeke. And looking at his cap number, I was actually on the point of actually looking at Tyron Smith and saying that next year, I think his cap number is about 15 or 16 million. Letting him go would actually save about 11 to 12. Because you have to start looking at it and saying, I'm spending that kind of money, but If he's gone, I mean, well, it's not if. He is gone. We're talking about him missing about 10 games on average the last 3 seasons. We can't keep saying that, well, now that the torn hamstring ripped off the bones out of the way, we can check that off, so that won't happen. So he'll be healthy then the following year. You just can't keep putting those resources towards that.
Although he's
Sup,
a better
Lola?
pro than Lyle Collins, although he's a better pro than a lot of these other guys, with what you said in that opening presser, you got to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
He has to go. It is what it is. And I love Tyron Smith, and I know he's more than likely a Hall of Famer.
Oh, he definitely is. But Lyle Collins, though, is still, he's having his own issues too with injuries as well.
Well, I'm not saying Lyle Collins per se. Yeah. I just know Jerry grandstanded in the opening press conference about guys being available and guys being hurt and this and that. And you got rid of those guys, and you got these guys now. So if that's the new era of how they're building things, Tyron got to go.
Well,
it's just that's.
And right now, this is the thing Cowboys usually end up doing too often, is they hold on to guys for too long. See, New England, I remember one year they had their Pro Bowl guard, and they traded him during training camp to the Miami Dolphins and picked up, I think, a second or a third round pick. They will take a guy like Trey Flowers, Pro Bowl year. Let's trade him to the Lions and get something for him. And that was the exact same time that we re-signed D-Law to the big fat contract. And you could almost look at the numbers between the two, D-Law and Trey Flowers. They were pretty much identical, and they both had a big drop after getting that contract. Now, Trey Flowers, of course, is a free agent right now and looking for a home. But this is where you say maybe the Cowboys would have been better off not re-signing D-Law, or maybe the Cowboys might have been better off looking back, a year or two and saying maybe we should trade Tyron Smith and get something for him.
Yeah,
because we end up holding on to him. We get left in a hole, and we get nothing for him.
But shout out to D-Law this year. He's had a really productive offseason. He's been in camp and the OTAs and all of that stuff.
Captain's workout. Yeah, this is first time he has not started the season on the PUP list. I actually expect him to do well. And this team, if we're going to have success, it's going to be through the defense. Now I do have to say something that I did see practice when I was out in California. They were practicing with the bags where they had everybody standing up except for the nose, rushing the quarterback. And they put speed up. They had D-Law. They had Micah Parsons. They ended up having Dante Fowler. Everybody was standing up except for the Canadian Bulldozer was playing nose tackle. They did that last night in practice. So they're going to be doing some exotic stuff where they're going to go for the quarterback. Because you start looking at the guys that we have as far as rushing. I don't know who's going to get cut on that defense. We can't keep everybody. But the fact that we're actually looking at, I think Carlos Watkins may be a guy who's cut, who last year was considered one of our best defensive linemen, goes to show how much better this defense is.
Yes.
And my thought is Dan Quinn seems to have so much influence on this team that I honestly believe they trust Dan Quinn a lot more than Mike McCarthy. Okay? It seems like what Dan Quinn...
Or they're allowing Kellen to do what he wants on the offensive side of the ball, because when I look on the defensive side of the ball, we look at depth. Like, there are multiple positions where there's just competition. D-end, D-tackle, the safety, the corners. On offense, there's no competition really.
Well, here's the thing. But okay, think about this though. I guarantee you that Dan Quinn wanted to get Anthony Barr. The linebacking core was as thin as the offensive line was. They went out and they got Anthony Barr. How come somebody in the offense didn't go to Jerry and say, Jerry, we got a plan for Tyron Smith being here? They didn't listen to that, or they didn't see the sense of urgency. See, I look at it like this, that I think that this team is being modeled after the Seattle Seahawks. Back in the day, 2012, 2013, that defense. You look at the monsters that they've been able to get in here, going out there and getting Sam Williams. Sam Williams is still really raw, has a lot to learn, but Sam Williams is going to be a beast when he understands putting all the tools in his toolbox to work. When he understands, when I rock that tackle like he did, it's time to shed that block and go hunt for the quarterback. He literally took the offensive tackle. You would have thought he was a guard. Zach Martin blowing the guy 15 yards downfield and forgetting, I've actually got to tackle the quarterback. This team has that defensive front that's going to be aggressive, that's going to take away the football, that's going to give the offense extra opportunities. And I thought, or my belief was, they were trying to get back into running the football and being able to chew up a lot of yards and control the clock. Because ultimately, you can take Tony Romo's numbers. You can take the highest yardage that we've had. Hey, Philly 500, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's the real one or not. Shout out to you on the Super Chat. Tony Romo had 4,903 yards in 2013, 28 TDs, and 19 interceptions. Fast forward to 2014, he's got 3,600 some odd yards, 36 TDs, and 9 interceptions, and you got DeMarco Murray rushing the ball for 1,800 yards. They were balanced. Teams had to cover the whole field, and it made up, instead of it being, we're going to live and die on Tony Romo's arm, you got to cover the whole field. You got to worry about stopping DeMarco Murray, and if you're stopping DeMarco Murray, then, we've got, of course, Dez Bryant that can catch. We got Jason Witten that can catch. So as I look and I say, we've got Jake Ferguson, who is a much better blocker at tight end than Dalton Schultz, and Dalton Schultz, who's even put on a little bit of weight and is actually blocking a little bit better. Those guys are going to have to help take up some of the slack to help on the offense. And if they can do that, Ferguson. And he can catch the ball too. I mean, 2 receptions.
I was huge on Ferguson. Remember when we drafted him? That was probably like the only one that I was really, really happy with.
Yes, you were. You were almost like he was Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you saw in the game, he can get you some yak. It's not like he's necessarily quick or somebody that's real like elusive or anything like that.
But Jason Witten wasn't either. But when he was a little bit younger and a little bit quicker than he was the last couple of years, he was a guy that could always find that spot to be open, and he could block. And that will be the key, because if Jake Ferguson can block and help out that offensive line, that's what I say. You end up leaving a tight end on that side. Sometimes he's going to be there to help out. Sometimes it's going to be a deception, and we're going to put him in a route. When teams think that, when you're the edge rusher, you rushing to that spot, that's where you bootleg. That's where you start playing those games to slow them down. That's when you start doing the screen passes over there on that side, so that way now the edge rusher can't just tee off against that tackle. So you can play. This is not the death nail to lose Tyron Smith. You would rather have a Tyron Smith healthy all season long. But I think that we do have some things that we can do. So I'm not going to go crazy just yet. And I'm actually...
Well, there's a plus.
What's that?
There's a plus to losing Tyron Smith. At least we don't have to see that stupid-ass formation with McGovern in the backfield.
Oh, damn. Okay. But I will say that to lose Tyron Smith, it's better that he was lost last night than, say, week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least now you have a chance to go ahead and say, all right, we got 2.5 weeks to get our shit together without him. What's our plan? Because when we lost Tyron Smith that first time and we had Chaz Green come in cold, no, we didn't have a game plan. And that's why, Dak got killed.
Yeah, absolutely. The crazy thing about that is, I don't know if you remember, but at one point, I think the year prior to that, Chaz Green had to fill in, I think, at the guard position, and he did rather well. And then they decided to make him a swing tackle or something that season, and it was no good. It was no bueno.
If Jerry Jones really likes the fans, he would let the fans make history and make a
first round pick.
A first round pick in the NFL. Okay. I don't have a problem. I mean, one of the few things you can say that the Cowboys do well is the first round picks. I mean,
they were about to mess it up though, because before Tyron got hurt, they sat here and told you that McGovern And I get they was trying to make him earn the job, but why are you making him earn the job? Get him the reps and get him coached up. And if he ain't there yet, then he ain't there yet. But I don't know, man. It's like it's weird because I just feel like he should have been plugged in there and he should have been playing. And
Yeah.
McGovern is just going to have to. McGovern should have been the one that had to earn, in
Right.
my opinion, because he's been there for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
What the hell were you doing with your time
Yeah.
that we had to draft a guard?
Yeah. Well, tomorrow night being the last preseason game may be pretty telling as how they do the lineups and stuff. You know, we have seen Tyler Smith playing, preseason at guard and stuff. Will we see him actually playing tomorrow night? Will they getting some reps at tackle? That's going to be interesting to see who is actually playing tackle tomorrow. Will it be Josh Ball? Will we see Matt Lewinsky for the first time coming back from the shoulder injury? Will they?
I would like to see Matt. I would like to see Matt. I would like to see Matt if he can go. But, hopefully.
Would I trade for Andre Dillard of the Eagles? Well, I didn't think about Andre Dillard. The Eagles are trying to get him. But here's the problem now is people know you're desperate. The Cowboys, we never get a deal when it comes to making trades. We always seem like we always overpay, and when we trade somebody, we get undervalued. And right now, they know you're desperate.
If the Eagles are trying to get rid of him, then why not just let him get rid of him?
Well, he's a first-round pick, from only a couple of years ago, but he doesn't get the playing time. So that's
why would we trade for him?
Again, and then of course they've been trying to trade Rhaegar too, but it's like just wait him out. That's what most teams will do. Most teams aren't going to make a trade. I tell you what's funny, and I don't know how we keep talking about the Eagles, but the Eagles' second-round pick from a couple years ago, wide receiver, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, they traded with Seattle for cornerback Ugo Amani. Okay, they did that like Monday, right? They just traded the two of them straight up. So we're taking a second-round pick. We're trading him for a nobody D-back. They then traded him to the Texans yesterday for a swap of picks, late-round picks. So he went to the Texans, and we're swapping the late-round picks. So technically, if the Eagles finish higher than the Tennessee, then you're actually giving away draft capital to get rid of Whiteside. You follow me?
Yeah.
They did a straight-up trade between the D-back and Whiteside, and now you traded the Omani to the Titans for a swap of late-round picks. They didn't get a player. They gave up the player, and we swapped late-round picks. So
one thing's for certain, they can't play Monopoly for shit.
No, and so Philly 500, he was just so happy to be rid of Whiteside. Oh, this is a great move. I liked Ugo Amani because it sounded like a suit and everything else. So I always thought of it. I was like, but dude, you literally may have actually spent money to get rid of him. You might have just been better off just cutting the dude.
Yep, absolutely. But hey.
Put a rearview mirror on Dak's helmet.
Hopefully we can get our stuff together.
These fools trying to take take their pick. All right, so we've heard Laremy Tunsil's name has been tossed around on the Twitter, trading for him. Let's go ahead and get the gas mask and smoke weed before the draft. Probably would take a first-round draft pick. Do you pull the trigger on that and say, you know what, we've got a young offensive tackle, we got it taken care of, and we're good to go? Do you take that draft capital? Because one way you could look at it is like this. Hypothetically, if you took a number one pick and got Laremy Tunsil, I think has only been in the league for, 4 years? Maybe?
Something like that.
If he is your actual tackle, and he is a viable tackle for you, for the next few years, and the season goes well, you're talking about a late first-round pick.
In my mind, I kind of feel like I would just rather try and get one of these veterans that's out on the street, and then in this upcoming draft, I just have to draft the tackle. That's just kind of how I would do it personally. Because I mean, but an actual tackle though, you know what I'm saying? Not a guy that can play guard that that isn't a tackle body or anything like that. Like I think that we've been successful when it comes to drafting first round linemen, but I would actually just go and get a tackle to play tackle. I mean, that's just it. I felt that way 2 years ago, or actually last year's draft. I felt that way. We ended up getting Micah Parsons, which ended up being a blessing in disguise. But at that time, I don't know if you remember,
Yeah.
I was pissed because I wanted to get Slater because I knew this Tyron Smith day was going to come and we were going to get caught with our pants down.
All right. Well, Laremy Tunsil. Oh no, actually he's 28. I didn't think he was that old, is he? Laremy Tunsil, 6'5", 313 pounds, 28 years old. What year did he get drafted? He got drafted 2016, so the same year as Dak.
Was Zeke, that same year, Zeke and Dak, yeah. I do
So
remember that, though. I
yeah,
remember that.
yeah, you remember the gas mask with the bong on it, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
But he got traded to Houston in that blockbuster trade. I think they gave up it was a number one and something else for him to be at Houston. He only played 5 games though last year. Okay, so what was his injury? Interesting. Um, hmm.
Red flag for me is he's been with like 3 or 4, like 3 teams,
Two
right? Or
teams.
this could be his.
First 3 years of
Well, I
Miami.
mean, if we got him, it would be 3 teams in how many years? In 4 years or 5 years?
Um, well, he's been with Houston for 3, and he was Pro Bowler 2 times in Houston. Just last year he got hurt. So let me see
He's
what.
a good player, no doubt about it. He's a good player.
Um, I don't know what his injury was last year. Let's see, what was his injury? Thumb surgery. So he was on injury reserve so it wasn't a leg injury at least. It was a thumb surgery. And
He
then,
should probably be okay. I mean, the thing about that is linemen. Shoot, Mark, you probably got crooked fingers and stuff like that over there.
yeah,
see,
yeah.
see.
Um,
So
but finding left tackles, finding true left tackles, is not an easy thing.
absolutely not. San Fran lucked up and got Trent Williams for a
A
third
third
and a fourth
round,
round pick.
yeah.
Yeah, and now they got a guy that's a top 20 NFL player
Mm-hmm.
once
Well,
he got out of the dump.
you think about it. You've got a guy who's experienced, who has been in training camp right now, who should be in shape. I don't know. Let's see what his contract is.
That's a good thing because see, with Tyron's contract, I think that's why they love Tyron more than anything. Tyron signed that 10-year deal, so it's always going to be cap friendly to them. So if they have to go play market for the tackle, I mean, I don't. Hell, we got a whole bunch of money in the cap now that we ain't spending for no reason.
I know he's a big chunk of change. Um, let's see. What does his contract look like? His cap hit for the Texans this year is $17 million. And,
Not bad.
Wow.
Not bad to me.
Yeah, but his cap hit potential. He has a potential out in 2023 with a $16 million deadhead. So you would probably, if you got him, you would probably end up getting him a new contract, because the way you would look at, if you're trading a number one, and for a tackle, and quite honestly, I would trade a number one more for a tackle than a wide receiver. That's just me.
I would too. Yeah,
Because
I
a
would.
tackle typically is somebody that's going to be around. So for a guy who's only been around for 6 seasons, I could do that. I could do that with the number one pick and say, let me try and protect my $40 million investment in quarterback who just got back, who's looking great.
Agreed. Who had probably the best training camp he's ever had.
with bums. No, I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. I don't. Back up the tape. I don't mean to call our guys bums. Guys
With
who have
inexperienced players.
inexperienced players, right? When you think that our most experienced receiver is CD with 2 seasons of starting, there is not a lot of experience on there.
Or Noah Brown, really Noah Brown, but he doesn't have any catches like that or touchdowns.
Yeah,
So
right. Nobody has touchdowns except for CD Lamb. So when you start looking at that, inexperience should be out, is what I should say, in a very young team. So in some regards, I still believe the future's now. So I'd find out from the Texans what do they want for him if that's actually something that they want to do. If you can get a good deal, go ahead. I would say for me, I would actually look at saying the future's now with Tyler Smith and try and get myself one of the veterans out there, Jason Peters, Fisher, get them coached up and ready to go. Use 12 personnel and, bring them into it slowly.
yeah. Well, Mark, I got to get up out of here, man. I got to go get ready to go coach youth practice right now,
Okay.
man. My son is running me ragged with this youth football team. But
Not a problem, but I'll tell you what we're going to do here is I'm going to keep on going here. And any of you channel members, because I know like my main man, Thomas Garrett, of course, I know have been on here. I just put the link in here. All right, appreciate you, DMV. I'll check and
all right,
see
y'all, salute.
see if any of you guys want to join in on the chat. Go ahead. The link is actually in the in the community tab. Okay, so if you want to join in, feel free to join in. I know Primetime Phil was here as well. Frederick, no. Yeah, the inexperienced guys is what we have right now. But I'm not ready to go ahead and give up on the season. Like I said, when we think about the 2016 season where we had Dak Prescott come in for Tony Romo, not too many people gave us a chance there. And I believe that the Jones family is a family that is just lucky as hell and end up having things that work out for them more than actually having things being planned for. So hopefully we will be able to do something there with this. And as of yet, we have no idea what it's going to be. I think the game tomorrow night may be very telling what they do as far as the offensive line and the backups and things. The Hawk, the NFC is weak. You watch those Commanders or Eagles go to the Super Bowl. So as long as how long you've been here, Philadelphia, okay. Make sure, hey, shout out to Brian. Brian, our resident Washington Commander fan, he says, make sure you sub up to my man DMV. Definitely check him out. Also, too, check out my man Primetime Phil. They're going to be doing a live stream Saturday night, so definitely check them out as well. Tomorrow, of course, we have the Seattle Seahawks game where Dak Prescott will be getting the Ed Block Award for courage. And I think he might be a repeat player, a recipient of that next year, because you got to look at this and say you're going to need a whole lot of courage with what's going on here. The Cowboys have really not helped their quarterback out any this offseason. When I look at other teams that have been constantly trying to upgrade everything that they've done as far as players, bringing in more weapons and things, we have actually gone backwards as far as weapons have gone. We've lost, of course, Noah Brown and Amari Cooper without really replacing them. The offensive line, now we're looking at a turnover of 3 players on the offensive line between Connor Williams, of course, Lyle Collins, and now Tyron Smith. I am of the ilk that right now, that if you believe that Tyler Smith is the guy that's going to be replacing Tyron Smith, then he needs to be put into the position of being that guy right now, and the future is now. I see a lot of people, we need Fisher. I bleed burgundy and gold, buddy. Well, shout out to you, Oscar, for bleeding burgundy and gold. Again, all of the guys that are out there, Eric Fisher, when we look at him, played about 7 great games last year. He was coming back from having Achilles tendon tear. That's why Kansas City let him go, because he tore his Achilles tendon just before the Super Bowl. And, it took him some time to get up to speed. He was playing like Eric Fisher of old, but then started having a couple of breakdowns between the shoulder and his knee, and ended up being that he was basically, not re-signed by the Colts. They decided to move on. Actually, looking at Jason Peters, who played 15 games last year, he's old. He's old, but he was still playing some decent games for the Bears. He might not be a bad guy to be able to mentor Tyler Smith and somebody that we can use. So I don't know. It's tough any which way you go, but probably the best thing is if Tyron Smith was going to go out, for him to go out right now, so that way we at least have 2 weeks to try and come up with a plan. If the Cowboys don't trade for a tackle, Dak will not finish the season. Well, Randy, I hope you're wrong on him not being able to finish the season, because I don't know that the Cowboys will trade for somebody. But then again, maybe they'll finally wake up and do something. I hope that they wake up and do something. No, Peters, he is 40. Yes, I understand he's 40. But you know what? That 40 played 15 games last year, which is 11 games more than, a few more games than Tyron Smith did last year. And I will say I would take Jason Peters over Ball right now. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that that's the best option, but, you got to do something more than just saying we're just going to do it in-house. You got to do something. I don't know if Laremy Tunsil would be the, giving up a number one for him and paying him a boatload of money. If that's going to be the answer, I don't know. Get Andrew Wadsworth out of retirement. Not sure Andrew Wadsworth is ready to come in. The problem with getting a guy out of retirement is, have they been working out to be in shape? Jason Peters has been saying, I want to play, and I've been working out. Eric Fisher has been saying, I want to play, and I've been working out. I don't know that Andre Wadsworth is working out. Shout out, there's Gina Thorne. What's up, Gina? How are you doing? Andrew Wadsworth was 40 and got a ring. I'm headed out. See, take it easy, Mary. Mary, I'll see you a little later. Eric Easley, they need a lot more than a tackle. I think if they actually got a good tackle, a really good tackle, so we're not taking a big step back, we'd be okay. Tyler says, Mark, we're not going to do anything. You may be right on that one. You may be 100% right that the Cowboys don't. We can only hope that they do. Or what they probably will do is they'll probably wait till next week when teams make their cuts and go bargain basement shopping, because that's more of a Cowboy thing. It wouldn't be a bad option, just my opinion. Andrew Wadsworth is broadcasting now. Fisher didn't want to go to training camp anyway. Most veterans don't. So, for the last hour and a half or so, Randy, how about trading Tristan Hill in a third round for a good tackle? If somebody would bite, but here's the problem for the Cowboys, Randy, is when it comes to trading, the Cowboys suck at it. The Cowboys never get value when they trade somebody, and they never get a good deal. So, there's that. Now we need two offensive. We needed a swing. Okay, if you get yourself a legitimate tackle, if you decided we're going to go ahead and take that first-round draft pick and get a Laremy Tunsil, then you figure we're set at tackle. We can keep Tyler Smith at guard. And then you've got a backup for guard with Connor McGovern, and you can try and take time to develop Matt Lewinsky or figure out what you're going to do with Josh Ball. Go get Fisher and Peters for a swing. I wouldn't be adverse to that. Probably between the two of them, you'd probably spend $6 to $8 million and not give up any draft capital. And at least you have some experience. It's sad when Philadelphia said Cowboys seriously need to trade for a tackle. Ty Hilton. Well, I know Andre Dillard's available, isn't he, Philadelphia? Isaiah Wynn. Yeah, Isaiah Wynn. I don't know that much about Isaiah Wynn. I got to look him up and figure out what they would want for him. So, perfect time to sign Fisher. Definitely a perfect time to sign Fisher. Definitely. Um, T.Y. Hilton, Dallas sleeping on him. Um, okay, but is he going to play tackle? Please help that line. Yes, please help our quarterback. Peters and Fishers give solid depth. I agree with you on that one. They're going to, okay, regardless of if they go for a big name or not, they are definitely going to have to sign somebody. And I hope this isn't like the Christian Sam type signing when they go for a linebacker. That's just, let's just get a warm body to put in here. But I tell you what we're going to do. I am going to probably live stream during the preseason game tonight at 7. And so we're going to go ahead and end this stream right now, get caught up on the news, and get myself refreshed for that, and see if there's anything new from the Cowboys, because, I've been on here. I can't find out if there's anything new while I'm doing this stuff. But let me say I appreciate my man DMV for being in the house and definitely being part of the live stream. And definitely sub up to this channel. Make sure you check out Primetime Phil as well. They'll be doing a live stream on Saturday night. Definitely show them some love and some support. And don't jump off the bridge just yet. Be cool. We got this taken care of. And I